Hello, welcome to my Royal Quest improvement and chanting videos. We're going to be starting off on the right side of our loan, right over here into the Aquamit laboratory with the NPC Abel Mitchell to have the item improvement. This is the main spot where you improve gear, but there are other places such as Tuscana Valley, Forest of Shadows, and Marigone. They have NPCs as well there to improve gear pieces, and as well as in the level 65 zone in Oranta, right over here in Sadeki, right over here. In order to improve your gear, you're going to need a few items, either Ashkelon cubes, black, white, or red philosopher stones, as well as runes of preservation and runes of cold for 63 and 65 gear. There's three different classes of gear: C class, B class, A class, with technically an exception of A class of 63 and 65 gear, as those gear pieces are harder to improve. As you slowly improve your items, the enhancing of it for the success will slowly decline. As you can see, a +3 to +4 for a C class is 75%. But then if I put this Bumblebuzz pendant for a C class, it's going to be a 50% chance to improve, 47% chance to fail and lose one improvement, and a 3% chance of item destruction. And yes, this does mean destruction, as it will be gone from the game. But if you use an Ashkelon cube, it will remove it and increase the chance of failing. If you use a Philosopher's Stones that you can either buy from the premium shop or buy it off players, you will increase the chances of it succeeding. But the drawback is that you will have the chance of destruction still there. But you can stop this with using Runes of Preservation to completely mitigate the degrade and the destruction, but it will stay the same of the percentage. As you can see, I have a plus 8 bow, level 60, with a 1% chance with the black stone, a 2% chance with the white stone, and a 3% chance with the red stone. For improving this high level of gear, some people like to have varying opinions on it. Some enjoy having more of quantity, as it gives you more taps. Some enjoy having better quality. It varies on you which one you want to do. There is no right or wrong. Some people do enjoy even using Ashkelon cubes. It all varies on what you would like to do for that. Keep in mind, there are different pieces of gear that have different improvement levels, as weapons are going to be harder to improve, as you can see it as a less than a 1%. But then if I put in, say, my +7 ring, the chance of improving is going to be a 5% chance, versus a weapon would probably be around a 1 or 2% chance. This will mainly get you your defense and as well as HP. As you can see here, this +7 ring gives me an extra 180 health. Certain levels of gear of Class A need to be improved to +7 in order to get the health bonus. I believe Class B will be needing +6. As you can see here, this Pipistrel Totem does not have any defense or any HP, as you have to hit certain breakpoints. But if you put the gear piece inside here, you can see before you improvement if you're going to get the bonus health. As you can see here, +5 gives me 10 health, +6 gives me 20 health. So improving the gear piece to a higher level gives me not only more defense, but it also gives me more health. There is also as well as a +11 for Class B and Class A items. In order to do that, you have to match the same amount of slots. So for example, if I got this bow to a class to +10 and I wanted a +11, I would need an exact same bow with 3 card slots, and I would need to enhance that bow to whatever enhancement level that I would like to gamble it on. To say, if I would want to guarantee a +10 to a +11, I would have to get another bow at +10, which will make +11 enhancement 100%. But if I wanted to try it at a little bit lower one, I can try it at a +9 or a +8, but every improvement is only going to be a 10% improvement. So at +9, it will be 90%. But this still is a very much not guaranteed to get +11, even with a +9 bow that you will feed to the +10 bow to get the +11, as it is only 90% chance, and RNG is RNG, so sometimes you might have to be very careful and understand that sometimes you might not get it. as well as improvement to get +10 to +11. I believe it costs 1 million on the click for it. Going into sealing your gear pieces, this is a very intricate process in the sense of the amount of seals that you can get, as some are per class and some of them are certain gear pieces can only have certain seals. We're going to be starting off on the left side of our loan right over here on the Master of Enhancements, as well as Aranta in the later levels. You can change them here in this little area called with Tortoise. In order to change your seal for your equipment piece, you're going to need the respective piece of gem, either an emerald, a morion, or a sapphire, which this NPC can sell. These items do drop from mobs, so you can farm these, or you can buy them off the player auction house. For example, for enhancing gear pieces, you're going to need the respective. So say I wanted to enhance this horde cutter, I'm going to need a morion, and it's going to take a hefty amount of gold, as this is an A-class item. At the higher level items of 63 and 65, you are going to need more gold, and depending on the item, it does fluctuate on how much gold you need. Once you hit seal on this item, you will get a random seal, and that random seal can be good or bad depending on you. So let's say, for example, I wanted to seal this item. I would put the item in here, and then I would just hit seal. For example, this is an okay amulet that I can use for when just randomly clearing dungeons. So I would hit seal and it would give me a random seal. The seal can vary of a good or bad. Sometimes it can be a very good seal. Sometimes you can get a very bad seal, such as this. In order to change the seal for the item, what you're going to need is you're going to need crystal vessels that you can buy from this NPC right here that you're talking to for 13,000 gold. Or when resealing the piece of gear, you're going to need to right click the crystal vessel. In order to use it, you will do a special animation and take some of your HP, and that'll convert it into the blood crystal. This is personal, so be careful when popping all your crystals, as sometimes you may get 100, use them all at once, and then you want to use it on different gear. And if that gear piece is personal on a different character, then you cannot just interchange them. In order to use the blood crystal while you're in this menu, you can actually put this in the hotbar and put it as one of your keys, such as this one here. You can hit, as I hit Q, it'll take the vessel, and as well as just clicking on it will use the vessel. So say I wanted to re-roll the piece of gear after putting a seal on it, I would just put the gear piece inside and the blood crystal there. So now I would just hit seal, and it will change the seal either to the same one or a completely different one. As now I have a fire resistant seal instead of a water resistant. I don't like that seal, so I would personally again. And then now I have an accuracy and a stamina seal, which is actually pretty good. If say I wanted to make this a better version of it, it would be green, blue, purple, orange. I would need to use an Arcanite Sealing Wax, which I can either buy from the premium store or I can buy it off players. I believe they're going for at least 40,000 gold in my server at the moment, so that's fairly cheap compared to other servers. So I would just make sure the blood crystals in here, the Arcanite Sealing Wax is in here, and then I would hit seal. Be very careful sometimes when you're sealing, as sometimes you will get a pop-up. Make sure you read all pop-ups that you get, because it is very important. Sometimes it would say personal once equipped, some will say personal once succeeds, and some will be account bound once succeeds. If it's an item that you're trying to sell in the future, I would recommend just having the one base seal so you can sell it back to a player. If it's an account bound item, such as say my bow, I can make another hunter, and I can give a brand new hunter that's level 60 on my account this bow, and they can use this exact same bow. Same thing would be with this ring. It is very good to make good pieces of gear that you can interchange for future characters. So say my warlock that I am leveling, I can give them this ring as soon as they hit 52, and they have an increased damage boost from fire damage. So trying to improve the piece of gear, I can throw the wax in here and the gear piece with the blood crystal, and I can hit seal. And it has a chance to be the same exact one, or I can chance to be a better rarity. I can put this again, and I can right click again, sealing, hopefully getting a better seal. And as we see here, I got a better seal, which gave me a little bit of stamina to it. As the rarities go up, the U will get better improvement. For low level gear that you can use until like higher level areas, such as this pendant, is a very good piece of gear for 4% defense that can give me a good amount of defense. As you can see, it gives me 6480, but sometimes I can swap out over here to this one and get a little bit more damage. For low level gear that you can just use sparingly, sometimes it's better to have like a percent gear piece, such as my winter helmet that I'm using at the moment. C class, but it gives me 4% crit damage, which is actually really nice for it just being a C class. For leveling up, when improving and sealing these pieces of gear, the best thing I would recommend would be defense seals on your armor pieces, as defense will help you out in surviving in the lower levels. For weapons, something that gives you a breaking point in your stats here. Every 10 breaking points gives you an extra bonus, which you can hover here. My recommendation would try and get some accuracy or a little bit of luck, but of course any seal will pretty much do depending on you. I personally like having the seal here because I can get an increased chance of luck if I put on this here, which gives me an extra amount of hit. As you can see, it goes from 35 hit to 39 hit, but this is a very fluctuating thing, as some people enjoy other seals than others. Some people have multiple sets of gear. As you can see here, this gives me 8 decks and another 6 decks, versus this Icy Stare that gives me 2 range and some hit, which I need for certain occasions, so you will have swaps later in the future of the game. This pretty much goes over enchanting and improvement. Of course, this is always a fluctuating thing, as every time you change a new piece of gear, you will get very much different stats, good or bad. Some of them are all varying. It's something to just keep in mind in the future, saying if I had, say, 60 luck, but then all of a sudden I put this on, I only have 59 luck. Those stat points would be needed, at least one stat point would be needed to hit the next bracket. So keep that in mind when you're improving gear and enhancing gear. Thank you and have a great day. I would actually also like to add in your character when leveling up to have some breaking points. So, for example, for me, I am currently leveling up my Warlock. So, at some levels, at level 22 right now, for my Warlock, I would like to try and see if I can get a piece of gear that's around level 26, 27, and improvement just a little bit, such as these pants over here or this armor piece here. I would improve these to at least +3, +4, as it is easy with Ashlock cubes. Keep in mind you might not get that many early levels until around the level 30, level 40 area, and try and enhance the gear pieces to that. For sealing, like I mentioned, defense would be your best bet when leveling. At later times, you can try and interchange them, such as like say how my gear I have stats versus defense. It is better for me in this sense because of how I play Hunter. It all varies on you on how you want to gear up your character. I would recommend also trying to do certain breakpoints. So say I would get gear at level 28, then I would try and keep it until at least level 35, 38, give or take, is when I would try and swap out another gear. Then I would try and swap it out again around level 45, give or take. It all varies. There's some pieces of gear that is better to keep throughout all levels, such as this Forest Shaman pendant that I showed you earlier in the video, as it gives 4% defense, and I use this my whole time leveling up. But you don't need to swap out the gear pieces ever so often. Sometimes you can get away with keeping lower level gear to certain points, like such as my winter helmet. It gives me a scaling defense with a little bit of stamina. So for me, it's a perfectly good helmet to use until I get my next helmet that I really want to craft, because I just want a little bit of money. But by far the best improvement that you can get for your character is always going to be your weapon. Weapon is going to be your main source of damage. With no weapon level up, your damage is going to suffer and your healing is going to suffer. I would recommend try and swap this out a little bit more often. So for me, I would try and get my level 22 Warlock to try and get a level 30 Scythe. I can maybe go for a level 31 Scythe, and what I can do is I can do the same thing as did for my bow and put a fire card with 2 golden cards and increase the enhancement to a higher level, and then I can use this scythe until like maybe 45, so it can last me a good amount of levels. And I would keep this exact same seal on it and just sell it back onto the market for another player to buy at future levels, such as you could probably see in there's will be one here as such as this person did. They just threw a random seal on it, whatever seal you got, and then just sell it back to a player so you can get your money back to a degree. For the gear piecing itself, I would recommend try and do certain breakpoints. Some people like having a good amount of levels in between. I would do for my warlock is I would try and personally get this scythe. I would wait until level 31, get the scythe, improve the levels, and put either cards in it or just keep it at the base and just put +3, +4, +5 with a good attack seal on it, and use that until probably like level 40 or level 40, give or take, maybe level 39. It's all varying. There's so much play room and play with on gearing that there is no right or wrong, as long as you're trying to make improvements and you can figure out what you need to improve on depending on how your play style. Sometimes you might be dying super quick, so maybe more defense is better, maybe more HP is better, maybe it's just better to get flat out more damage, as it gives you more ability to stay alive for killing mobs faster and healing stuff faster. This comes to the end of the guide for the gearing and improvement of levels of your gear. Thank you. Appreciate it for watching. If you have any recommendations, just put it down in the comments below, and I can try and make a guide for the next piece of content for you guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.